Hello guys, and thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Indiana Sports Connection. I am your residential anchor, Aaron. Let's get right into talking about the Indianapolis Colts. Today on this episode, we're going to talk about the tale as old as time, mobility versus longevity. This is something going on right now with the Colts, with their quarterback. I looked up a really great article, and I'll leave the link to it in the description down below. The research and analytics were done by Bruin Sports Analytics. So we'll look at a little bit of that, talk about what does the long-term health and future of the Indianapolis Colts look like with Anthony Richardson or without him. I'm not saying he's a bust at all, but we're just going to talk about what the Colts have to do moving forward in the next 5 to 10 years. What is their strategy going to be a competitive football team? We're going to talk about all that and more on this episode of Indiana Sports Connection. If you are new to the channel, subscribe to the channel and leave a comment down below. If you are a lifelong Colts fan like I am, leave a comment down below. Tell me a little bit about yourself. I respond to all comments on this channel. And I just started this channel about a month ago talking about the Indianapolis Colts. But tell me a little bit about yourself, how long you've been a fan, why you love the Colts so much, who your favorite player is, anything like that. And also, I'm going to let somebody who is a subscriber to this channel host this show one day. So leave a comment down below as well, and I will pick somebody, and we will either do a Zoom call type of debate, or you can come right here if you live in Fort Wayne around and shoot an episode from this studio right here in my own house. I am your residential anchor, Aaron. Let's get right into talking about the Indianapolis Colts. But first, let's thank our sponsor, Reynolds Wrap. Reynolds Wrap is a great American product made in the United States. This stuff, I use it for everything. You can use it when you can't find lids. You can use it to wrap things, to put them in the freezer, then transfer them to the fridge, then put them on the grill. I wrap my the things that I make my French fries on. I put the aluminum foil on the outside. That way I don't even have to wash the pan. I just wad this stuff up and throw it away. Use Reynolds Wrap. Get right back to the game on game day with Reynolds Wrap. It's a must-have product for the kitchen to save you time and money. All right, let's get right into talking about Anthony Richardson and the Indianapolis Colts. I hope you enjoy this fall scene behind me here, but I really want to talk about his injury, what that means for the Colts. What is it going to mean if he misses the entire season? I feel like it's way too early to call this guy a bust yet, but I am very, 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 very concerned as a fan that this guy has only played in 4 games in the NFL, and he's been injured in 3 of them. It shows, and I've read tons of comments on Reddit. I've seen tons of different analysis people have said, and there might be some truth to all of it. Anthony Richardson, he only played in 13 games in college. So this guy pretty much went straight from playing in high school to playing a few games in college to being right in the NFL. He has a big body, but his brain and his mentality is still in high school age. That being said, it's going to take the type of coaching that it's going to take to keep him healthy and keep him on the field is going to be very, very difficult challenge for the Indianapolis Colts. It may not even be able to be done. I don't think it can be done. And I'm going to tell you why right here. Well, Anthony Richardson, I thought at most he had about a 5-year window to be really effective in the NFL. I mean, a lot of running quarterbacks, they kind of fizzle out after they take some of those big hits in that first 5-year period. And then they don't run as much, and they try to throw from the pocket. Now, in my research, I did find out, Randall Cunningham is one guy who got banged up and banged up and banged up, and he actually had one of his best seasons later on in his career when he was older, and he learned how to throw from the pocket with, I believe it was Chris Carter and Randy Moss he had on that team. Or no, that was totally off. That was Dante Culpepper. But Randall Cunningham did have a great season when he was 36 years old. He threw for, it was like 40 touchdowns and 7 interceptions when he was older on in his career. That is one of the guys that 1 year is kind of an outlier as far as any running quarterbacks go. Anthony Richardson can't run like what they've been doing at all. I would say if he ends up being out for all of this year and he comes back next year, oh my God, like already just as a fan of the Colts, like I'm on pins and needles about this. Like you're going to wait all this year. We're going to play all this year with Gardner Minshew or Kellen Mond. The Colts brought in Kellen Mond as another backup. I really like some of the things. I watched some of the games of him in college, and I liked some of the stuff I saw out of him. I think maybe he could run like a running style a little bit with the Colts. But going back to Anthony Richardson, he has to stay healthy. It's part of the job that he has to do. Part of your job, wherever you work, like I sell mattresses, part of my job is making sure that I can be at work and do my job every day. If I go snowboarding tomorrow and I break my arm or break my leg and I can't do my job, then I can't do it. It's the same way for NFL players. Part of Peyton Manning's job that he saw it when he was the quarterback there, and we got to compare all quarterbacks for the Colts to the great Peyton Manning, is that he has to stay out there on the field. That's why he threw the ball away. That's why he threw the ball in the dirt. That's why he didn't take many big hits, because he knew. He had a dad who he watched him play in the NFL, and he probably saw him come home on many a sore evenings. He just knew what it meant for the NFL. Does Anthony Richardson know that? No, he does not. He does not know that at all. I can tell you, like, after he got taken out of the Houston game, you can see him looking back a few times after he took some of these really hard hits, and he's realizing this isn't high school or college anymore. This is the NFL. You don't get any freebies. These are pro players. And there's a guy, there's a cornerback, 5'10", 195 pounds, just full of muscle back there, just waiting for you to like turn your head and not be paying attention so that they can just thwack you. That's the NFL. It's a different game. It's a totally different game. It's a different game than it was in college. Guys like Tim Tebow, guys like Cam Newton, guys that are big can run in college. And a lot of times, 10% of those players they're playing against are never going to play in the NFL, or only 10% of the players they're playing against might play in the NFL. Probably less of a percentage than that. But, Richardson playing in the SEC at Florida, he didn't see a lot of this type of tackling, this type of intensity. It's really, I believe, taken him by surprise how much more physical the NFL is, and how he is not able to just always make an athletic play and get away from somebody. Now, the biggest myth in all of sports, I believe, is that you can turn a guy who prototypically likes to run the ball into a drop back passer. I don't think that is the case ever. You have two completely separate mentalities. And just stay with me on this, because I'm just going to describe this to you in a way. I don't know who I heard describe this on the radio this way, but I thought it was really, really telling. So you take a player like Tom Brady. Tom Brady knows for a fact that he's not faster than the defensive tackle. He's not faster than the linebackers. He's not faster than the defensive end. He's not faster than anybody on the defense. He might be one step faster than a defensive tackle, but most likely not. He doesn't not have the speed. He knows that for a given fact, the only way he knows to deliver the ball, to get rid of the ball and not get hit, is to throw the ball away or throw it to somebody else to avoid getting hit by one of those defensive players. Now you take a player that knows the opposite as a fact. They know for a fact that they can run away from the defensive end. They know for a fact they can run away from the defensive tackle. They know for a fact they're just about as fast as the safety, or they're bigger than the safety is, and the corners. So what does that guy do when he's going to trust his instinct? The instinct is to run the ball from here to there because he knows for a fact that he is faster than those guys. Just as Peyton Manning or a Tom Brady or a pocket passer know for a fact that they can't get away, this guy knows for a fact that he can get away. And therein lies the problem. The guy who can run away from the defensive linemen and the linebackers will almost never learn to think out there in a different way than what he's been doing at this present moment. It's literally unlearnable. It's like trying to swap people's brains into like different bodies, but even if that happened, if you put Peyton Manning's brain in a more athletic person's body, he's going to run the ball too. I mean, that's all there is to it. If I was fast, I would run away from them as well, because that's what every inch of your being, when you're fast and you're athletic, tells you to do. This is all happening with Justin Fields right now. The coaches are telling him, don't you see that read? Don't you see that? Like, that guy was open and you ran over here. And that guy was open and you ran over here. And now they're really in his third year trying to force him to make those room. And there's all sorts of things going wrong in his brain. That's why it's such a disaster. Because you're making a guy whose instinct is to run the ball, and that instinct has served him well. That's how all human beings come up with the things that keep us alive in this world. It's all the instincts are everything that keep you alive. That's one of the hardest things of coaching. Making a guy whose first instinct, turning that into his second instinct, that's nearly impossible. I think it is impossible. I've never seen it. I would like to see, I would just like to see proof that a guy who runs the ball a lot is able to transform himself into a pocket passer. Now, that being said, Anthony Richardson has pretty good skills in the pocket. I would say this guy has really good pocket presence. He has pretty good pocket skills. He stays in the pocket. You don't see him I'll just throw a name out there, Sam Bradford. I mean, he's not like the Sam Bradford who would just get annihilated by guys one after the other because he just couldn't feel the pressure. He just couldn't see the pressure. Or like Mitch Trubisky. He didn't know. Well, he wasn't athletic enough to run away from guys either, but he just really seemed to get mashed up. But anyway, I'm getting really off track here. What does this mean for the Colts long term? Anthony Richardson, now they're saying he's out 4 to 8 weeks. He has to wait to see if the swelling in his shoulder, when the swelling goes down, they'll know more about whether or not he's going to need surgery or not. If he does need surgery, how confident are you, and leave a comment down below, how confident are you going into next season, having him miss all of 2023, and then coming into 2024, we're nearly then in 2024 in the exact same position we're in right now. We have a guy who's played in a couple of games. We know he played in 4 games. He got injured in 3 of them. One that might be a season-ending injury. If it's out 4 to 8 weeks, he'd be coming back after Thanksgiving around that time. So he's not going to have a full season in hand or to be played. Do you think if the Colts end up only winning like 4 or 5 games this year, should they trade up and try to get like Drake May from North Carolina? I think they should. I think they should do everything. And honestly, I think the Colts were very stupid for even going after Anthony Richardson. I thought for sure they would trade picks and go after CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud can run the ball, and it is possible for him to run the ball, but he doesn't like to. And that is the big difference. He doesn't want to run the ball. He knows if there was a 5-alarm fire, he could run away out of the building. But he just doesn't want to. And that's what the big predicament with Anthony Richardson is. He's going to be a run-first guy in these early seasons, and actually the Colts need him to run. Like, that's the big problem. The Colts right now, he doesn't have he's not a developed passer enough to, he might get hurt worse if he's just dropping back and sitting in the pocket and told that he can't run. He might even get hurt worse because he's like not following his instincts out there on the field. But, you know, let me know what you think in the comments down below. I've just been thinking about this and reading lots and lots of articles about it. So this chart right here from that website, Bruin Sports Analytics. So you can see these are QB rush yards per game against games started. So here on the bottom, we have yards per game. You can see any quarterback like this guy he started 100 games and averaged 40 yards per game. He is like the complete outlier. And look up here. These guys that have started 300 games, all of them averaged running the ball less than 10 yards per game. There's not a ton of, and then QB rush attempts per game versus games started. So you can almost see the same thing in this. Like, if you ran more than 7 times per game, only this guy started more than 100 games and ran more than 7 times a game. This guy ran about 6 times a game, started just about 100 or a little under. But look at these guys. All of the people that have started 300 games, they all ran the ball less than 2 times a game. You can see by that chart right there, it just shows you a little bit that, like, because that's what I want. It's like the Colts need a long-term option at quarterback that's going to be, even if he's not the best player, you need somebody reliable. And I mean, we all know this. Ever since Andrew Luck left the team, they just have no reliability at quarterback. They drafted this guy, and I just can't believe that he only lasted 4 games, and he's out. Hopefully, he's not out for the season. I don't want this to make this like a dire video, because there are a lot of great things that the Colts can do, and the Colts have a pretty good roster. They just there are a ton of great quarterbacks in college right now, and the Colts definitely need to start taking a look at different college quarterbacks and seeing how they can get a different quarterback, because that's what I feel like the team needs to do. I really like this guy, Anthony Richardson. I really do. And he is electric. He's got a great arm as well. He needs to work on his accuracy and some different things. But I'm starting to just feel like if this guy can't change his playing style a little bit and learn a little bit how to protect himself, he is not going to have a long NFL career. And that would be a travesty, because this guy, you can see he is so talented. He really, I mean, I've never really seen a player like this guy, as big and fast as he is, and he also has like one hell of an arm. His potential is through the roof. Hate to see him get injured. I really hope he's only out 4 to 5 weeks on this and that he can come back. How do you feel about the Colts and their long-term future with Anthony Richardson at quarterback? Do you feel good about it? Do you feel bad about it? Tell me where you're at. Leave a comment down below. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Indiana Sports Connection. And until next time, stay classy out there, Colts fans.